this is Tommy, and welcome to another musical adventure. I know that you've been enjoying the road trips and showing some places. At least I hope you have been. But this is a showing some records video, something I haven't done for a little while, but I felt inspired. Ron Haggerty's Vinyl Sanctuary was going to do like this 1,000 subs party. He's not quite reached 1,000 subs yet. So if you're so inclined, go check out Ron's channel and hit the sub button. Help him out and get to that number, that magic number of 1,000. But he posed 10 questions to the VC. It's not a contest or anything like that. But the 10 questions really inspired me, and so I wanted to jump in because I had some titles that immediately came to mind. The 10 questions were kind of outlined. Each number was significant. And so I thought it was just a cool idea for a thread, and here's my response. So number one, the first question is one-off or a band that made one record, one full-length album. And this is one of the first ones that came to mind because I listened to this album just earlier today. This is Come and Have Some Tea with the Tea Company. Of course, the band being the Tea Company. It's a band out of New York. This is a sight record. Apparently, tea was a euphemism for marijuana or pot back in the day. So the idea is that come have some tea with the Tea Company. Come smoke some pot. It's a sight record. The second side of the album opens with You Keep Me Hanging On. And there is the Smash label. But as far as I know, this is the only album the Tea Company ever made. This was it. I've seen a few in the wild. It's not a very common record, but I have seen some out there. But the Tea Company, one-off, one-of-a-kind, or one-off record by a group. The second, number two, is Two of a Kind, an album title or same band name. And this also kind of jumped to my mind. And this is a release that came out on Record Store Day a few years ago, Genesis The Gods. Now, I was quite confused by this release because it's called, it's just the cover says Genesis The Gods. So is the band name Genesis or is the band name The Gods? And the label on the record really doesn't help. Of course, you can see it's this cool splatter vinyl on the Parlophone label. But as you can see across the top, it says Genesis. And then underneath, down on the bottom, it says The Gods. Again, more confusing. But doing some research and checking Discogs, the band's name is actually The Gods. And the album name is Genesis. But as you can guess, the album, this Two of a Kind, I'm also going with the band Genesis. So Genesis the Gods, Gods Genesis, and Genesis the band. Well-known prog band, later pop rock band, fronted by Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins. Two of a Kind, the Genesis. The number three is The Third Time's a Charm. And the idea is that a band whose third album, or an artist whose third album was kind of the magic one, the one that actually sort of put the band into another level, brought the band to a new level. And the album that came to mind for me on that question was Parallel Lines by Blondie. This was their third album behind the self-titled and Plastic Letters, but Parallel Lines is widely considered to be Blondie's masterpiece, one of their best albums in their catalog. It has hit songs like Hanging on the Telephone. It also has Heart of Glass, which was one of their biggest hits, One Way or Another, all on Blondie's third album, Parallel Lines. Just a great post-punk, new wave sort of slab of musicality. Parallel Lines by Blondie, Third Time's a Charm. The fourth question is 4 in a row. 4 albums are by an artist or band that are just a perfect run of albums. And so this run of albums came to mind. ELO, this is their 4th album, I believe, El Dorado, a symphony. And so to me, this is where ELO kind of finds their stride, that sort of perfect pop sound that Jeff Lynne sort of crafted and became known for. It really becomes evident on this album. El Dorado is just a fantastic album, top to bottom. It's kind of a concept piece. But like I said, ELO hits their stride with El Dorado. And of course, the next album, Face the Music, another just triumph to me. There's not really any weak songs on this album. Again, ELO really kind of hitting their stride with the hits. This album in particular had Evil Woman and Strange Magic. Two major radio hits were on Face the Music. The next one to follow that was A New World Record. Just another just huge, massive hit. This one had Telephone Line, Do Ya, the Rockaria, Tightrope, So Fine, Living Thing. Again, I mean, this run of albums to me, 1, 2, 3, they more hits, more big singles, and of course the fourth one in that run, Out of the Blue, which is probably kind of regarded as ELO's best album. It's a double album. This one has Mr. Blue Sky. It also has, of course, I Love Sweet as the Night, which wasn't really a hit. Turn to Stone, Sweet Talking Woman. Just there were several songs on this album that became big radio hits, and like I said, widely regarded as probably their best album. I don't know if I agree. I like a lot of ELO albums. I find a lot of them really good. I find From El Dorado on is just about perfect. But it's just as far as a 4-album run, I think those 4 in a row from ELO is about as good as it gets. The next one, number 5, was all about the Fifth Dimension. And the Fifth Dimension... The Fifth Dimension being sort of about space or the unknown. And so this album kind of came to mind, or this record came to mind. This is Third Man Records. This is Carl Sagan, A Glorious Dawn. And this one is a special clear gold edition. And let me just show you this vinyl. I don't know if you can see the imprint on it. But there's a story behind this, aside from it being a Carl Sagan piece. One of the things about it, and let me kind of pull this out, is that this was the first vinyl record to be played in space. I got a little sticker that came with it, signifying the event. So what happened was Jack White and Third Man Records sent this thing up in a little space, I guess. They called it Icarus. It was basically a weather balloon, and they attached this turntable to it, and they lifted it up and got it into the atmosphere. This was the postcard. And so there's a picture of it. It happened on July 30th, 2016. And the Carl Sagan record was the record that was sent up and played on that Icarus spacecraft, if you want to call it that. And like I said, it's really just a cool thing. And so when you talked about space, or you talked about being in space, that's the one that came to mind. Now, the sixth question was a 6-member band, or a band with 6 members on an album. And this was the album that came to my mind, the Allman Brothers at Fillmore East. Classic live album. Of course, the 6 members, Dwayne and Greg Allman, Dickie Betts, Barry Oakley, Jai, and Butch Trucks being the 6 members. Very tight live unit. One of the great live albums, live rock albums. Fillmore East by the Allman Brothers, 6-member band, 6th question. The 7th question was a question concerning a band name or an album title or a song title with God, 7 being God's number. And so I could have gone with the album I showed earlier, but I'm going to challenge myself. I went with God on Our Side from Bob Dylan's 3rd album, The Times They Are A-Changing, which is kind of an appropriate song. This is one of Bob's most political albums, but this particular song kind of is a scathing sort of take on, if you have God on your side, then everything's okay. And so with God on Our Side being the song title with God in the title, number 7. Number 8 was the number of unity, all about, unity. And I went with something kind of obvious on that, Come Together. Come Together, the Beatles, Abbey Road. You know the song. I think, that kind of represents the unity. Number 9 being Finality. And the question was about 9 being the finality number. The last album to feature a member of the band, maybe an original member of the band. And I went with Master of Puppets by Metallica. This album, released in '86, was the last album to feature original member Cliff Burton on bass. And there's Cliff there, if you can see him. Really interesting bass player, very melodic, very sort of outside what you would expect from sort of a thrash metal or speed metal sort of guy. He played very melodic bass lines, really, really, really neat stuff. But Master of Puppets being the last album to feature Cliff Burton on bass. He was later killed in a bus crash. And the final question, number 10, the X Factor, a band or an album with X in the title. And I went with King's X, Out of the Silent Planet, which is just a great 80s hard rock / metal album. This is just a great band, really talented players. But King's X, Out of the Silent Planet being my number 10 and final album to show. So that's the 10 questions. I hope you guys want to participate. I'll go ahead and post the link to Ron's channel down below in the description box. I'll also put the 10 questions out, so hopefully you'll want to participate in the thread. It'd be great to see your responses, and let me know if you do. Comment down below. What do you think? Did I go completely off the rails with my picks, or did I do all right? Or what do you think? So comment down below. I try to interact with you guys. I try to respond. If you do comment, I do get back with you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you're inclined to do so. Also, ring that bell, get notified when there's new content. There's some more musical adventures coming your way, and I hope you guys stay tuned for that. In the meantime, save the Texas Prairie Chicken.